All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're breaking down a super important topic for any business that's looking to scale up, a full-on guide to equipment financing. If growth is on your mind, you're definitely in the right place. You know the feeling, right? It's the classic situation. You see that perfect piece of equipment, that new vehicle, that tech upgrade that you know will change the game. But all your cash is tied up in the day-to-day, payroll, inventory, you name it. And that right there leads us straight into what we call the business growth dilemma. It's that constant tightrope walk between investing in your future and, managing the cash you need to survive today. So how in the world do you break out of that cycle? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do here. We're going to give you the tools and the strategies you need to finance that growth without bleeding your working capital dry. Okay, let's pop open your financing toolkit. We're about to unpack the main solutions that can help you solve that tricky growth dilemma once and for all. When you boil it all down, you've really got two main paths. You can borrow money to buy the thing outright, or you can essentially just rent it. Think of it like this: getting a mortgage to own a house versus just renting an apartment. Both get you a roof over your head, but financially, they're two completely different worlds. Okay, let's break this down, because the differences here are everything. With a loan, it's yours. It's on your books as an asset, but of course, it also adds debt. A lease, on the other hand, is all about access, without the burden of ownership. So the big strategic question you got to ask yourself is this: do you need this thing for the long haul and want to build equity? Then a loan's probably your best bet. But if what you really need is flexibility, lower upfront costs, or maybe it's tech that's going to be outdated in a couple of years anyway, then a lease is often the much smarter play. But hold on, we got to get a little more specific here. You can't just say you're leasing and call it a day. There are two very different animals in the leasing jungle, and knowing which one you're dealing with is absolutely vital for your company's finances. First up, you've got the operating lease. Honestly, the best way to think about this is as a true rental. You're just using the equipment for a little while, just a piece of its total useful life, and then you give it back. This is your go-to for short-term projects or for tech that evolves super fast, like high-end computers you know you're going to want to swap out in 2 years. Then, on the other side of the coin, you have the finance lease, which you might also hear called a capital lease. Now this is a lot closer to a loan. It's a much longer-term deal where you're basically taking on all the risks and rewards just like a real owner. This is the move for your mission-critical, long-lasting stuff, the heavy machinery, the specialized tools, the things that are really the backbone of your business for years to come. All right, now for something a little more advanced. What if I told you that you could tap into cash that's already sitting right there in your business, just hidden? Let's talk about the sale-leaseback. See, a lot of businesses have a ton of cash just locked up in the equipment they already own outright. A sale-leaseback is this really powerful financial maneuver that lets you turn that locked-up equity into cold, hard cash you can use, all without stopping your operations for even a second. And the process itself is actually way simpler than it sounds. Check this out. You sell your gear to a finance company, they cut you a check for a big lump sum of cash, and then, in the very same deal, you sign a lease to rent that exact same equipment right back. What's the result? You get a huge cash injection, and your team doesn't miss a beat. They keep using the tools they need to do their jobs. It's pretty slick. And this really gets to the core strategy behind it. You're just asking yourself one simple question. Can I take this cash we unlock and make it work harder for the business? Maybe by funding a new expansion, hiring key people, or paying down expensive debt. If that return is higher than what you'll pay for the lease, then yeah, it's an incredibly powerful tool. So let's just quickly recap the big wins here. You get cash in the bank, like right away. You turn a piece of metal just sitting there into a productive asset. You can actually improve your cash flow and some key financial ratios. And you do it all without losing access to the critical tools that make your business run. Okay, so you've figured out what you want to do, but now let's flip the script. What are the folks on the other side of the table, the lenders, looking for? Let's take a peek at their checklist at what they need to see to give you the green light. Lenders are pretty much zeroing in on three main areas. First, the asset itself. Is it in good shape? Is there a market for it if they had to resell it? Second, your business. Do you have steady cash flow to actually make the payments? What's your credit look like? And third, the paperwork. You'd be surprised how important this is. Are your financial statements and invoices all neat and tidy? So you see this number, 70%? What does that actually mean? Well, it's all about a concept called loan to value, or LTV. It's super rare for a lender to finance 100% of something. They'll usually offer a percentage, like 70%. So what that means is, if your equipment is worth, say, $100,000, they might give you a loan for $70,000. That other $30,000? That's on you as a down payment. And this brings us to what might be the single biggest and most expensive mistake that businesses make: showing up to the application totally unprepared. Look, having clean, professional financials isn't just about getting a yes or a no. It's about getting better terms and lower interest rates. A little bit of money spent on good bookkeeping can literally save you thousands down the road. Okay, last section, and I promise you, this one is absolutely critical. Let's talk about how to spot and avoid the hidden traps, the little contractual things that can turn a great deal into a total nightmare. You have got to become a bit of a detective and actually read the fine print. So let's go on a quick red flag hunt. I'm going to show you the 3 biggest ones you need to watch out for in any lease agreement. Red flag number 1, the hell or high water clause. And yeah, it is just as intense as it sounds. This basically means you are legally locked in to make every single payment no matter what happens. The equipment could be a total piece of junk, it could break down on day 2, it could be completely wrong for the job. Doesn't matter. You still have to pay. Next up, you gotta watch out for these evergreen renewals. This is such a classic trap. These clauses say that your lease will just automatically renew for a whole new term, usually another year, unless you send them a written notice to cancel inside a very specific and often very small window of time. If you miss that deadline by even a day, boom, you're locked in again. And finally, red flag number 3, be super wary of vague or unclear end-of-lease costs. The contract might just gloss over who's responsible for paying to take the machine apart, pack it up, and ship it back. These costs can be huge, and they can be a really nasty surprise right when you think the whole thing is over. So, let's wrap this up by going back to the beginning, but with a brand new way of looking at things. After all this, how do you see the assets in your business? Are they just another line item expense on your books? Or are they a source of untapped capital, just sitting there, waiting to fuel your next big move? Because picking the right financing strategy, that's what makes all the difference.